Cosette Torres. As some of you may know me or from the previous video in which I discuss what social cultural identity markers are and how it's helped me to develop who I am on this earth, rock, whatever you want to call it. Your beliefs are yours, and that's okay. I hope that didn't come off as passive aggressive. I mean, like, whatever, you do you, as they say. So I'm here to discuss this thing right here. So this is the ribbon. I want to say I'm a little confused because I think it's also for other purposes too. So as far as I first learned about this orange ribbon, it's for multiple sclerosis awareness. I think this is also for cancer awareness. I could be very wrong. I want to say I briefly read that somewhere. I should look it up and confirm. Maybe I can do that later on before posting this. But I want to discuss what multiple sclerosis is and about the upcoming, many of the upcoming walks coming up this year in 2024. I'm not sure if they've already started in other parts of the US. I'm over in Florida, so the walk that I'm attending in particular is not hosted until April 13th, I think, which is a Saturday. But um, I want to discuss what MS is. I think I said that 10 times, but so my definition, as I've learned to understand it, MS is an illness, a disease, whatever word you feel comfortable with, that affects your central nervous system. Your central nervous system consists of your brain and your spinal cord. Your central nervous system relays a lot of the messages within your body. So many of us MS warriors, survivors, individuals affected by MS really emphasize that it looks different for everybody. For example, for me, before I was sent to the hospital, my symptoms kept progressing. I've always known there was something wrong with me. Not that I meant it in a negative light, but more so I've always felt like my body was off, probably since I was a child. Um, so I was having consistent migraines. And they weren't your typical migraines because usually I could tough it out, have some Advil or Tylenol, take a nap. All right, I'll bounce back. Well, when they started increasing in frequency and severity, and Tylenol and Advil weren't working, that's when I got a little freaked out. Um, it felt as though there was tons of weight on me, like an elephant sitting on my brain, and it almost felt like my brain was coming out of my skull. So, um, I lost my train of thought. That happens a lot. I don't know if that's just my brain because of stress or because of MS. But it was very painful. And then, this was during 2020. It was so hard to see any specialist at all. Um, my doctors and whatnot, they were all kind of scrambling around trying to figure out how they can squeeze me in to see a neurologist. At that point comes around the day that I was doing laundry at a coin laundry, and I was trying to insert a quarter, but it felt like I got hit by a bus at that point, and I lost balance. And then suddenly I couldn't see anything from the half left portion of my eye. So I remember just going up to the little, like, where the coin slot is, and I was like, wait a second, I must be that sleep deprived that I can't see where to insert the coin. Like, I kept dropping it over and over and over again. And then at that point, I held my hand up and I was like, okay, nope, something's wrong with me. I'm stubborn, so I finished what I was doing. folded my clothes with an eye and a half. I go back home and I was like, all right, if I go to sleep, everything will be better. Again, I still had that migraine. I close the curtains, I go to sleep, I wake up, I aggressively rub my eyes. Why can't I see? Why can I not see? I try to stay calm, everything's fine and dandy. And then the next day, I was still in communication with the doctors and they were telling me, okay, I think we can squeeze you in at this time slot. Then the next day comes. I wake up and I can move the left side of my body, but I cannot feel it. To this day, I can't really feel, I guess, as I feel on this side. You can probably pinch me here and I won't really feel it much, but um I can feel it, just not to the actual degree of what that is. Um you know, so anyways, so what I'm trying to say is that's what led my primary care provider, or my PCP, that's what led him to say, please go to the emergency room right now. Your symptoms are progressing and this is concerning. You need to go get worked up. I go there, and I told them, well, actually, before that even happened, they controlled me with prednisone, or the pain that I had and the swelling and whatnot. Um, before they also did a brain MRI without contrast, which that was another issue because I'm not a really radiologist, but I had just started grad school, so reading was something I've always kind of done to like survive and learn more, and just out of curiosity. I really like research and all that. And I saw that my impression said may be indicative of a neurodegenerative disease such as multiple sclerosis. I read that and I lost my marbles. I called, I don't know how many times, and I was like, my MRI scans, first of all, no one let me know that I have multiple lesions located in different regions of my brain. Um, is it gray matter, white? I forget. I apologize. It's a lot of information. Just a lot of things that were worrisome. Nobody cared to call. And then I wound up in the ER. I told them, hey, I might have MS. And the lady looked at me and she's like, how can you be so sure? And I was like, ma'am, I've been experiencing symptoms for 2 months now. I can't see out of this eye. I can't feel this side of my body. My doctor, I like showed them my phone. This is a message from my PCP. At that point, they grabbed a chair and they just wheeled me in. I was terrified. I didn't want to go. I had to leave my puppy behind with a dear friend of mine. I had just gotten Jasper. He's over there. And yeah, it was very painful. I couldn't bring anyone with me. During 2020, nobody could. So I was convinced either A, I'm going to contract COVID, B, I already have COVID, and now I might have MS. So who knows how long I'm going to be here for, if I'm going to be intubated. I don't know. And then C, I was going to receive a life diagnosis without anyone by my side. That was the hardest part. Um, And that's okay, because I'm here to tell my story and to just keep advocating, because that's all we can do, be hopeful, advocate, change the world, essentially. Um, so I I get taken in by an ER doctor. Well, she was asking me questions. And I won't ever forget her. All I know is she had blue scrubs on, I think. I don't know if it's a false memory. And she looked at me and she told me what I needed to hear to survive the next couple of days. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. She told me that it's very brave of me to be here during this time, and that she sees me and she recognizes all the pain I've been going through, and that this probably won't be an easy process, but and considering everything we're going through, like in the current climate that we're living in, environment and whatnot, she says it was very brave of me to be there and that she really hopes that I get all the answers I need. And to this day, I remember her, sort of. I'm trying to form a face to the name, but I just remember her message and it resonates with me. And it's something that when someone tells me something very profound, it stays here, like a cassette tape or like a record player. I don't know, but I hold on to words very deeply. And then after that, I had quite the opposite experience when I was placed in like an ER room. This neurologist, this male neurologist, comes to me. He's like, "You're probably just having a migraine." I was so mad, but I had no energy to say, "Excuse me, sir. Yes, I am young, but you don't know how much pain I've been withholding. So, no, I strongly disagree with your predictions that aren't backed up by evidence. So, please take, I don't know how many steps back." And I think he didn't even come back to me, but I have to handle this professionally. You will encounter doctors like that. So, yeah, you can get mad about it, but guess what? Technically, our lives are in their hands. At that moment, we're very vulnerable, but still advocate for yourself and don't agree with what's told to you if it's not true. Um, I was hospitalized for 5 days. Um, it was almost like I was living in a movie. Everyone had those Darth Vader masks on. Um, Everyone was afraid to approach me, considering that before being transferred to the neurology floor, I was in the ER room where most COVID patients were. I had never heard that many alarms ring. Code blues. I've never seen so many people rushing up and down, up and down, up and down to save someone's life. Um, Sorry. And then I was taken up to neurology. I was seen by one too many doctors that could only speak from me from the doorway, and my bed was like probably 15 feet back, maybe 10 or 8 to 10 feet back. And they still had these Darth Vader masks on. And they would tell me, "I'm so scared to approach you because I don't want to give you COVID because we don't know what's going on with you. And we don't know how COVID could affect you right now with whatever crisis you're in." Um, how I survived, I knew I was going to be in the hospital for a couple of days. I packed my laptop, worked on work, excuse me, not work, school work. I just started grad school. I worked on just watching Netflix stuff. I FaceTimed a lot of people, my friends, family, just kind of keeping them in the loop. Sometimes, it's a lot for someone on the other screen to kind of like perceive or like try to understand what you're going through in the hospital with nobody by your side. And yeah. So I apologize. I don't remember what came first. The MRI came first. They had to do, to kind of like compare what was done before even ending up in the hospital. But instead, I was in the MRI capsule for nearly 4 hours of my life. And I just kept thinking to myself, wow, is this what the rest of my life looks like? It's not funny. It's not. But again, I use humor to cope. I remember when I was taking AP psychology in high school, it was a point of discussion, MRIs. Everyone was like, "I'm claustrophobic, I hate it." And I was like, "Oh, thank God I don't have to do it." Yeah, no, I spoke way too soon. I get them done on a yearly basis, and every year I question everything. But I try to find the silver lining. Number one, I get to relax. Some MRI centers are cool because they'll set you up for success. They'll give you headphones, you get to listen to what you want to listen to, but at the end of the day, that MRI machine will make the loudest noises ever. And what I do is like I pretend I'm like playing Mario Party or like a Mario game or just some sort of Nintendo game because it goes bump 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 and it goes bah, 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 bah. So I don't know. It's just funny to me, but it's not. It's really not. But we do get yearly MRI done of the brain, thoracic spine and spine with and without contrast on a yearly basis, or I don't know, it really depends on your neurologist to check on the progression of the MS and how it's impacted your body and your central nervous system and all these critical factors or elements of the human body. Um, MRI. Okay. So after that, I had to do a spinal tap. I was terrified. I told my mom. I mean, I was terrified, but at the same time, I was ready because I needed answers. At the time I was 23. Wow. Oh God, I'm gonna be 27 this year. I was 23 when I was finding all this out. And was it after my birthday? I think so. Yeah, it was. I had just turned 23. Wow, Jesus. Whew. And or was I 24? I think I was 23. I don't know. I'm not good at fast math. So I I tell my mom, "Hey, this is what's happening. I need to get a spinal tap done. This is what's going to confirm the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis." She was like, "Oh, I don't know that you should do that because I don't want you to end up paralyzed." And then I was thinking to myself, "Oh no, am I going to end up paralyzed? Is the MS going to do this to me?" Either way, I need to find out. So I went in with that fear, and I do sincerely apologize to the anesthesiologist. I don't remember his name, but I remember him because I remember him being dedicated to his craft. And, first of all, the person who picked me up, he was a nurse named Patrick. And he came to get me. He was like, "My name is Patrick. I'll be rolling you down to the operating room." And I was like, "The operating room? What? Why am I going there?" And yeah, that was being in the OR was also something else. Wow. But I guess I was trying to find some light and like humor. And I was like, "I'm gonna call you Patrick Star." And he was like, "Oh man, I should have not told you my name." And I was like, oh well, it's too late now." Then they give me some medication. I don't know, what was it, morphine? I don't know. But I guess at that point, the medication was doing what it needed to do because it had to set in before they took me to the OR. I remember they rolled me up to the anesthesiologist. Maybe he came up to me. I don't remember. I was like, "Sir," or doctor, I don't remember how I addressed him, but doctor, I would say. "My mother is very worried. My mom is scared that you'll leave me paralyzed." It's not funny, but it's a valid mom concern, I would say. And he told me, "I do my job very well. There's a 0.00001% chance that this is happening." And I was like, "Well, what if I'm that 0.00001% chance that it happens?" I think he got slightly offended, or maybe he was tired, I don't know. But he was like, "I'm going to take good care of you." And then he walked away. And I trusted him. I did. So then this other lady was also attending to me, and she was wonderful. She was sharing, like, she was telling me that I'm young and brave too. And I guess I didn't see it really. I was just like, "Well, I appreciate that, but I'm just here to find answers. I'm really confused." But her words really helped me out too. Again, like it was a very scary time to be hospitalized. And I go to the OR and then I get like all these life questions sort of hitting me. Other people were on that OR table. A lot of people may have made it, and some people might have not. Maybe there was medical breakthroughs that happened on this OR table. Maybe I was thinking too profoundly. Maybe they do other larger surgeries in other areas, but then everything kind of happened quickly. I think I was given something else, like a numbing agent, because mind you, I'm not sure how large the needle is that goes into your spine, but I remember them drawing. I was just laying flat. Well, they like rolled me over because I couldn't stand up because of how strong the medications were. So I had no sense of like balance and time and any of that. It was weird. I felt like I was in the twilight zone almost. They rolled me over and I was like, well, I guess I'm a lab rat now. And they lay me flat on my chest. Um, and then they get a marker and they start drawing on me. I think I asked them to draw something on me. I don't know if they laughed or not. I don't know. Again, I was just trying to laugh about everything that was going on, although it's not funny again. I'm emphasizing that, but I was just trying to bring some sort of relief to myself. And and then they tell me, "All right, here comes the tough part. I'm going to inject you. This is going to hurt." So they inject me and it hurts. But because I was on medication, I felt the pressure. That's what I felt. I felt the pressure, not the needle going in. Or maybe I repressed that. I don't know. And then they told me, all right, the numbing agent is there. We're going to let it set in for a little bit, but we do have to move fast. I think that's what they said. Maybe I'm making this up. And then I think I was trying to get a hold of like seeing the needle, but usually I'm good with needles, but I don't like to look. Like, for example, if I get my blood drawn, you can put the biggest needle like in there, but if I watch it, I'm going to register more pain. It hurts, but I just can't look. I couldn't look because of the position that I was in. And so I just remember, all right, this is it. If I lose my ability to walk or if this messes me up because too much fluid was taken out, this is it. This is it. You're like, all right, we're going. Next thing I know, yeah, they were like, okay, this is done. I was like, what? Again, my sense of time, wow, so many emails, I apologize. My sense of time was just not there. And I just remember thinking, well, I wonder how this is going to affect me for the rest of my life. I was picked up from the OR table and then well, where was I going? Observation. And the observation nurse is also very kind. But she was like, "Do you have heart conditions?" I was like, "Oh God, I don't know." Because my heart was doing funny stuff. And she asked me, "Do you have bradycardia?" And I was like, "I don't think so." But I've been learning over the years when I have like heavy duty meds in my system or like something that relaxes me, for some reason, everyone's body's unique, but um I was like within the low, I don't know where I was. But she just said that I have a slower heart rhythm than typical for someone my age. Could be that I work a lot. I was working probably like 60 hours a week, trying to make ends meet at a very physically demanding job. And I'm a perfectionist. So imagine how much I was running around. Um, anyways, so then the hardest part was really just um
Please hang up and try
I
again.
accidentally stepped on this dude. I'm sorry. Okay. So I take instructions too literally, and I was told to not move for the next 4 hours of my life, to just lay flat like this. And what was very like, it felt like torture because there was a clock, a digital clock right above me, like right above the bed. So all I did for the next 4 hours was look up at those numbers, tick, and go, and time pass, and just reality, like I allowed reality to set in. Um, I kind of kept wiggling my toes to make sure I can feel everything, my fingers, but I was trying to stay as still as possible because I didn't want to mess anything up. I was told to not move. And a lot of doctors kept coming in to like test my sense of touch. Um, Anyways, I recovered fine. I'm walking. I'm here. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. But um, you know, because I was in a hospital bed for 5 weeks, I had a something as invasive as a spinal tap done. I had to do a lot of intensive physical therapy 3 times a week for nearly an hour and a half too. Um, I didn't lose or forget the sensation to walk. My muscles just weren't developed, not developed, they weren't where they were before I entered the hospital. I was very weak. Walking was a hard task. Picking up a cup of water was a hard task. I'd drop it, like I'd pick it up and it was too heavy for me, and I think I broke a glass. I'd spill a lot of water or beverages on me. Um, I was really frustrated. So many emotions, a lot of anger. Um, but really, my concern was when I was in the hospital for all that time, I just said, wow, how am I going to pay this hospital bill? That goes to show you a lot. Um, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to buy food? How am I going to buy Jasper's food? Just a lot of things going through my brain. But I guess I'll wrap this up. But after reviewing the spinal tap, the MRI, all my blood work, I got visited by possibly, I don't know how many doctors again, but I just remember two coming in to reveal the news. So the first doctor comes in. She was a woman. She had an OR cap on. She didn't have the Darth Vader mask, but she had an N95 on. She introduces herself. She tells me that, again, she tells me that I'm brave. And she also told me, God bless you. And I was like, oh God, I know where this is going. She was like, well, I'm here to tell you, to give you your general diagnosis. Upon review of your results, and um, we do believe that you have a neurodegenerative disease. And I was like, okay, do you know which one? She's like, I'm just here to give you the general diagnosis, but I do want to emphasize you're gonna be okay. Um, just follow your doctor's orders, stay healthy, all that stuff that doctors, I guess, say when they give you bad news. And then I said, okay, thank you. I mean, it was kind of her to, I guess, deliver the news the way she did, but it was also so isolating because she wasn't close to me. Um, she was at the door. She was afraid to approach me. Again, this is COVID, peak COVID, so, you know. Um, and yeah, I mean, how was that? She closes the door. I open my laptop and I go, list of neurodegenerative disease. Boop, 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 boop. Oh God. Everything I read. Then excuse me, the next day or a couple hours later, this neurologist, I will also never forget him because I think he took the humanistic approach to giving me the label, the diagnosis. He took off what I call the Darth Vader mask and he sat right in front of me. And he was like, can you pull down your mask? I want to see your face. So I knew he was going to give me more specific answers that I needed, but it was going to hurt. These emails are driving me nuts. So He addresses me by my name. And I think at that point, eye contact is critical. Again, I'm so vulnerable. I'm in such a vulnerable state, health-wise, psychologically, emotionally. And he looks at me and tells me, we are almost very certain we're waiting on the spinal tap results to come in. Well, your MRI is and your lab work and all that is consistent with the profile of someone who has relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. I cry, but then I suck in my tears. Like I go like this. And so I ask him like, what's the worst that can happen? He's like, yeah, everyone wants to know the worst first. But he explained to me that this is the time to have MS. It's never the time, to be honest, to have any chronic illness, anything that hurts you and brings you down and just has you learn a new way of living life. But you are assigned that challenge for a reason. I think I'm a firm believer in that. I've used it to fuel me to get to so many places. Yes, I've fallen down so many times, but I've also gotten up so many times. And I think that's what counts, the way you get up and what you do when you get up. You don't have to do much, but just, I think sharing your story is a very powerful tool. Um, so he explained the worst of what could happen, but again, he told me kind of the same thing the other doctor told me, like to follow your medical treatments, be healthy, exercise, hydrate, eat well, be happy, laugh. Um, but that day, sorry, that day did change my outlook on life forever. Um, and this is where I am today. Um, it's February 13th, Tuesday. I like Tuesdays because I like tacos, and I do Taco Tuesday when I can. And I am 4 years deep into my new identity. Yes, we can say MS doesn't have us. It doesn't, but it's a big part of how we've had to learn how to live. Um, it's challenging. It's interesting. It reminds you to laugh more. Um, but I think for me, like I'm struggling the most emotionally. Um, I guess like just navigating the emotions. You're grieving every day. You're grieving your old life. But was my old life actually my life? So that's where I come at. I'm so motivated to just help everyone and anyone I can. Anyone who wants to, even then, like I'll find a way. I'll find a way to help you. Yes, I'm learning to help myself, but so this is me. And that was MS. I was hoping to give you all maybe I'll do it in the next video. I'm big on research, I'm big on data, I'm big on numbers. I wanted to share my screen um to show you all the logistics behind MS. Um maybe you watched this and maybe you didn't. And I'm okay, I have to accept that. But if you did, and even if you didn't and you watched a couple of seconds, thank you. Thank you for the precious seconds of your life, minutes. I don't think this is going to be an hour long, but thank you for showing me that you care and that you're eager to learn. Again, my name is Cosette. I had come up with a slogan, but it flew out of my brain. I'm hoping that I'd be more organized next time. I'd like to get a camera and all that, but for now, Zoom works. I am wishing you all a great day and a great week and a great year. Thank you. Okay, sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Pause. Stop.